Hi and welcome back everyone. Today we have a Kamigawa Neon Dynasty pre-release box from back in the day. I honestly don't know when Neon Dynasty came out. A couple years ago, I think. It's not that old. I don't have any fingernails right now, so pulling this open is kind of difficult. So I really do like pre-releases and drafts and all that, even though I am terrible at all limited formats. I am not good at them. I lose constantly. But I enjoy them, and at the end of the day, that's what Magic's about. It's a game. So, pull the little sleeve off there. We have a little box. And inside the box, what do we have? We have the spin down die for Neon Dynasty here. It's red. Not my favorite color, but hey. We have a little explanation thing, building a pre-release deck. And then for our foil here, our promo card is the Reckoner Bank Buster. A 2-drop colorless 4/4 vehicle when it ETBs with 3 or more, 3 charge counters on it. 2 tap, remove a charge counter, draw a card, then if there are no charge counters on it, create a treasure token and a 1/1 pilot that crews vehicles as though its power was 2 greater. So after you remove enough counters, boom, you get a pilot to crew this itself. We have some other things in there, so let's go ahead and pop this open. I know nowadays the promo card that comes in these is the only thing in its little sleeve. Oh, it also has the year stamp on it, so 2022 is when Neon Dynasty came out. We got a couple helper, 3 helper cards, and then a little thing for Arena.
Hand me the Arena card.
Yep. There you go. Alright. Little holder, another thing explaining how to build a pre-release deck. Don't know why they put 2 of those in there. And then we have 6 boosters that we're going to go through. 6 draft boosters, specifically. Which means less reels, more cards in general. And we're going to see what we get here. Alright. Let's see how these open up first. Okay, so we do have the common though. And we have a 1/1 pilot token to go with our little vehicle that we got. A network terminal, a mana rock that can loot for you if you tap an untapped artifact and pay a mana. Shrine Steward, who can go fetch a shrine or a aura when it ETBs. Commune with spirits, you dig for, reveal an enchantment or land and put it into your hand. Rest card on the bottom of a random order. This, which turns a creature or artifact, a creature or vehicle, into an artifact creature with 4/5 and draws you a card. Relatively good value for 3. Blows up an artifact with mana value 3 or less, and you gain 3 life, so you can burn out someone's mana rocks. A 4-drop 3/4, 1 sack another artifact. It gets 2/1, which is okay. That's a pretty cheap artifact sacked outlet, but 1 mana is still expensive for that, honestly. One of the equipment creatures that reconfigures, the Aki Ronin. I really like the samurais from this set. They go really well with like an exalted theme. Voltage Surge, which 2 damage for 1 mana, or 4 damage for 1 mana and artifact sack. Asusa's mini Johnnies. You get an additional land play when you drop it. You gain 3 life, and then you get the likeness of the sequel, which whenever it gets blocked, you untap up to 3 lands you control. Not as good as Azusa herself was. Ankle to Reality. You have to sack an artifact or creature to cast, and then you get to tutor a equipment or vehicle onto the battlefield. If it has mana value less than the sacked permanent, you scry 2. So, I mean, that's actually pretty neat. The Walking Skyscraper, which you can drop for free if you have enough modified creatures. The Skyblessed Samurai, who makes enchantments, is cheaper for each enchantment you cast, so you could drop it for 1. And then, here we go. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. The Fable of my boy Kiki Jiki. 2 in a red, you get a 2/2 Goblin Shaman. This creature token, this token, is worth more than this card is. Whenever it attacks, you get a treasure token. You can rummage for 2, and then you flip it, and boom, you get the reflection of Kiki Jiki. 1 tap, create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control. It has haste, and you sack it at the next end step. And then Swiftwater Cliffs, one of the comes in taps, gain a life lands. So, pretty solid cards there. I mean, Fable of the Mirror Breaker is one of the more valuable cards from the set, honestly. It's only like $7.50 last I checked. But, I mean, that's still... This set doesn't have too many super valuable cards. Starting off, we have the Kato emblem. I really want Kato from Hill. This fetches lands. Returns an enchantment to its owner's hand. A 6/6 vehicle for 4 that crews for 3. This ETBs to make something not be able to block for the turn. I really don't like these interaction spells, Wanderer's Intervention like this. 2 mana to deal 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. I mean, it's not useless, but it's much more conditional than just blowing something up. Clawing Torment. This I actually really like. 1 mana to hit an artifact or creature, and as long as the enchanted permanent's a creature, it gets -1/-1 and can't block, so you can take out a lot of utility. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life, whoever this is enchanting. So that's pretty solid. Twisted Embrace. You have to hit an artifact or creature you control. It blows up a creature or planeswalker when it comes in, and then if you enchant a creature with it, it gets 1/1. Another Aki Ronin. Kamano faces Kakazan. Comes in 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. On the second lore counter, whenever you cast your next creature spell this turn, it comes in with an additional 1/1 counter, and then you get the Etchings of Kamano, a 2/2 with haste. Whenever it hits someone, if a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you controlled would die, exile it instead, which is actually pretty solid value. Dockside Chef just lets you sack things to draw cards. One less. Oh, yeah. I forgot in this set there's a lot of does this if you control an artifact and does this if you control an enchantment. You could drop this for 2 to kill a creature or planeswalker if you have an artifact and an enchantment. Another equipment card. Equipment creature. And then Gunji, the Midnight Sky. The Black Dragon Spirit Hill. We have a 3 and 2 black for a 5/5. Flying Menace. So, you know, blocking it's not going to be easy. And then when it dies, you can have each opponent discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. Or you can take a non-dragon from your graveyard and put it onto the from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and you lose 2 life. That's pretty good value, though. You just have to kill the giant dragon. And then we have a foil Azusa's Mini Journeys and a Plains. Honestly, from all these cards, I don't know so far. I don't know what I would be building if this was at a pre-release, you know? I mean, red, maybe so far. Like, we've gotten some pretty solid red cards in here. But not enough Samurai to make a deck with it, I think. A 1/1 colorless spirit token. Ion Apprentice Hill. I actually really like this card. 1-drop artifact creature comes in with a 1/1 counter. Whenever it dies, you can move its counters, not just its 1/1 counters, onto target creature you control. So it's like a pseudo modular thing. I actually run this in my Toph deck. The Simian Sling. Whenever this or the creature it's equipped to is blocked, it deals 1 damage to the defending player. So even if you block it, you're catching hands. Reckoner's Bargain, pretty solid card. 2 mana, sack an artifact or creature. You gain life equal to its mana value, and you get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty solid. A 3-drop enchantment, 3/2, that for 6 mana, which is ridiculous. You get a 1/1 counter on target enchantment creature you control, and that creature gains trample. Ridiculous pricing, though. Moonsnow Prototype, 1-drop artifact that you can tap it and an artifact or creature you control to add a colorless. Or you can channel it to put a card, put a permanent on someone's top or bottom of the library. Ancestral Katana, which is a pretty boring equipment. Equipped creature gets 2/1. Not worth the 5 mana it takes to put on something. But if you have a Samurai or Warrior attacking alone, you can pay 1 and attach it to it, so that's solid-ish. A 3/4 for 3 with Defender. Modified creatures you control can attack as though they didn't have Defender. Would go pretty solid in a Toughness Matters deck. If nothing else, run this if like you have Pride of the Whole Clade as your commander to let you swing out with your defenders. Intercessor's Arrest, which is just arrest, but it can't crew vehicles. So, actually pretty solid removal here. A Snake Ninja that whenever it hits, it gets you get a 1/1 counter on a creature you control that doesn't have one yet. Another Kamano faces Kakazan. Reinforced Ronin. Actually like this card. A 2/2 for 1 with haste that goes back to its owner's hand at the end of turn. Oh, hey. Actually a solid card. I mean, a 5-drop for a 3/4, not really good here, but whenever a non-token artifact ETBs under your control, you can pay 1 in a blue and get a token copy of it. So that's actually not bad. I mean, a little expensive to get this creature on the field, but being able to copy artifacts is a pretty solid ability. Patchwork Automaton that gets a 1/1 counter whenever you cast an artifact spell. And Ward 2. This is pretty good value, too. The Mirror Box. Okay, this is a good card. Not super useful in Commander unless you're running a bunch of clones. Legend Roll doesn't apply to permanents you control. Legendary creatures you control get 1/1, and each non-token creature you control gets 1/1 for each other creature you control with the same name as it. So, this would actually go pretty solid in like a token deck, if nothing else. Because, oh, I have these 21/1 soldiers. But they're named Soldier, and so are these other 21/1 soldiers. If it works like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. And then another Swiftwater Cliffs. So it keeps giving us the Is It land. Oh, I haven't been separating out the rails. Oopsie. Alright, we got 3 more of these to go. I'm really hoping, like Boseiju and I can't remember the other one, but Otawara would be good pulls, but I don't know if we're going to get them. A 1/1 construct token. I would also really like the Goblin Shaman token. A artifact mana dork, the Geothermal Kami again, another Futurist Sentinel, another Wanderer's Intervention, an Unstoppable Ogre. That's bad removal. Okiba Reckoner Raid, which gets you something that gives your vehicles Menace. That's actually pretty solid. Menace is a really... I like Menace as an evasion ability. I also like the Bronze Cudgel's Hill. Be like something... a 1-drop, 1 to equip, easy peasy. And then if you let it get through 2 mana, it gets +1. 4 mana, it gets +3 total. And then just boom, X doubles every... X gets +1 every time you have this ability resolve. So if you just pump a lot of mana, you can make the creature pretty high power. Prosperous Thief is a pretty solid one. Whenever Ninja or Rogue hits somebody, you get a treasure token. Restoration of a Ganjo. Haven't actually gotten this rare in our collection before. 3-drop Saga. Search your library for planes, put it into your hand. You can discard a card and return target permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's not bad value. And then Architect of Restoration, which is a 3/4 Fox Monk with Vigilance. That whenever it attacks or blocks, you get a colorless spirit creature token. So that's actually pretty solid. Swing out with this and get a creature. That's pretty solid. Another Kami of Restless Shadows. And then one of the really... I like that they did this in this set. The full art lands that just look really pretty. I like these a lot, actually. We have a couple mountains already and a couple islands, but I don't think we have too many plains like that. Alright, come on, be the Goblin token. Nope, 2/2 Samurai token. Sorry. Another Shrine Steward. Grafted Growth. You enchant a land and it can tap for 2 mana of any color. And when it ETBs, you get a 1/1 counter on a creature or vehicle you have. That's actually pretty solid. Nice ramp there. Another debt to the Kami. 2 mana for a creature you control to deal damage to a creature or planeswalker you don't control. Something that drops flying and lowers power on something. That's not bad. Another Ancestral Katana. Another Simian Sling. A full drop enchantment gets 2/2 and Menace. And when the enchantment leaves, you get a 2/2 Spirit. A Samurai. Another Azusa's Mini Journeys. With the 3 of these in Hill, if this was a pre-release, I would definitely be running green just to be able to drop these and get a lot of lands out. I mean, it's not legendary, and what it creates isn't legendary. A O-Ring, effectively Hill, with Touch of the Spirit Realm. Unforgiving one is actually a really nice card. I run this in my Ashin deck. 3 mana for a 2/3. Whenever it attacks, you get a creature with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of modified creatures you control. So that's pretty solid value, though. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile it from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. This would go pretty good in a discard deck. Invoke Justice. Wow. 5 mana, 4 of which has to be white. To return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then put 4 1/1 counters on any number. Distribute them, so on any number of creatures and or vehicles target player controls. So you could buff up to 4 of your creatures or just drop them all on 1. And then the Jungle Hollow. I don't think Invoke Justice is a good card at all. Like, 4 white mana is a lot to ask if you're not running mono white. And, I mean, 5 mana for a... 5 mana for a reanimate effect isn't bad. I mean, no, it's pretty bad. I'd rather pay life. But... And the 1/1 counters that you get from it aren't worth all that much. Another helper card there. Counter unless someone pay. Counter a non-creature unless its controller pays 2. Just 3 mana to give your field +2/+0 isn't great. Oh wow, this is actually not bad. 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gets -2/-2. It gets an additional -1/-1 until end of turn for each modified creature you controlled as you cast this spell. So if you have a bunch of equipped or 1/1 counters or enchantments, you could use this for a pretty solid effect for 2 mana. This gives a creature 3/3 in reach for 4 mana. Or you can channel it for 2 to get that for 1 turn. This is effectively just refute, but you can tap an artifact instead of pay the... I mean, not refute. This is basic... It's a 2 mana counter target spell, but you either have to pay a colorless or tap an artifact there. 4 mana to exile a creature with power 4 or greater or an enchantment. That's kind of expensive for removal. 2 mana to blow up an artifact and get a 1/1 counter. This isn't bad, honestly. The Nezumi Blade Blesser gets Death Touch if you have an artifact, Menace if you have an enchantment. Pretty solid for 3 mana, if it fits into what you're already doing. This enters with a 1/1 counter if you control a modified creature. So a 3/3, I mean a 3/4 for 3 mana is okay, but a 2/3, I don't know. Beseiju reaches Skyward, lets you pull out 2 basic forests and put them into your hand, and you get to take a land from your graveyard and put it on top, and then it gets 1/1 for each land you control. That's actually not bad. Nuika Yamazaki, the poet. I like the Yamazaki cards. Nuiko and Heiko, I think, is the other one. In red. 3 mana for 3/2 with Vigilance. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you can cast an target enchantment card from your graveyard this turn. So that can get you pretty solid value if somebody removed one of your enchantments. This deals X damage equal to the X in the casting cost to a creature or planeswalker. But if you have a modified creature, it deals that +2. I don't know. If it hit a player, it would be okay, but just a creature or planeswalker, whatever. Oh, okay. I'm happy with all of this now. I don't even care. Hinata, Dawn Crowned. One of the few Jeskai legendaries that I actually like. 1 in Jeskai for a 4/4 with Flying and Trample. Boom, you get your mana value already. Spells you cast cost 1 less for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more for each target. So anything that's like Curse of the Swine. Boom. X is whatever. I target so many creatures, but since it's a Curse of the Swine is X and 2 blue, destroy so many target creatures, destroy X creatures, and the controllers get 2/2 balls. For this, I target 5 creatures. It has 5 targets. Casting cost is reduced by 5. I'm paying 2 blue to get rid of all of that. This is a good card. I don't think it has a whole lot of monetary value, but I think it's really neat. And then Dismal Backwater for the land, though. I really like Hinata, so if nothing else, we got a Hinata Hill. Was that the last pack?
Yep.
Okay. So, we got some pretty solid cards. None of the super valuable cards. I think the most expensive card out of this whole thing that we pulled was the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which is definitely not nothing.